Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 611. What can you eat during a hunger strike? Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going well. Had a good weekend.
What involves a good weekend?
I did some work. Saturday, I went out to watch the football. So, I did have that on Saturday, but it was good. It was good fun.
Yeah, actually, I got to go to the interactive Vincent van Gogh experience this weekend.
How was that?
It was okay. I don't think it was probably the best one put on. Like, I'm sure the ones that are in New York City and Philadelphia and LA, like the major cities, are a little better. I don't think they bring the full interactive experience to Tucson, Arizona. But it was neat. I think it's a good way to get the current generation into tricking them into an hour and a half of learning about art or a specific artist. Whereas nowadays, I think it'd be a real struggle to bring someone through a museum for 2 hours. But it was 2 hours and it flew by. Do
you mean it would be hard to take you to a museum for 2 hours?
No, actually, I rather enjoy museums. I've been to a bunch. I've been when I lived in Paris, we used to go all the time. But I think like younger generations, I think, have almost no appreciation for going to a museum.
That feels like a real old man take.
I don't think it is, because I'm the oldest of 23 cousins, and almost none of my younger cousins ever have gone to any type of museum.
I mean, it's a pretty small sample size, and it is one effectively
contained family
unit.
Cultured family.
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, if your parents, for example, didn't go, like, do your aunts and uncles go to museums?
Yes.
Consistently?
Yeah. I mean, when they travel, they do.
Okay, but see, I think that's already a different type of person, which I would put myself firmly in the class of. I travel and I'll go to a museum. I don't go to a museum in my surrounding area on a consistent basis. So, that already puts you, those are two different.
Have you been to all the museums in Paris?
All of them? No, the vast majority of them. Certainly the kind of like famous, noticeable sort of ones you'd expect to go to, yes. But I mean, I've been here for long enough that that's not exactly impressive to say. But I can't remember the last time I went to a museum in Paris before the pandemic.
Well, maybe it's a boomer statement, but I think just in general, I think it's a good idea for a way to interact with people with more, hands-on things and more visual stuff, where it's not just the painting. There's different aspects. There was like a virtual reality headset, a VR headset you put in and do the experience. And then there was the room you sit in where it's all around you. They're projecting, like it's like a projection show of his art and his quotes and everything like that. It was cool. And it's like 2 hours went by pretty quickly. Like, there was never a point where I kind of was like, all right, are we done with this yet? It went pretty quickly. And also helped that it was free food and drink. So okay. That was nice.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not an art museum person really at the best of times. So already, I mean, that would be a tough sell for me because it's not I don't really appreciate art in that way. It feels disingenuous of me to go and stare at art in a museum and just think, and what's my takeaway? Wow, that's either that looks good or that must have been hard to do. I couldn't do that. Those are basically the two conclusions that I can come to in an art museum. And, I don't know. It feels, when I go to an art museum, that feels like me pretending, I feel like this is something that someone should do.
Yeah. Well, maybe this will give you a little different perspective.
No, I don't think so. I think it would be exactly the same perspective. I'd rather read a book about Van Gogh. That would be, he doesn't particularly interest me as an individual. He's he would fall into my historical figures we learn far too much about category. But but other artists.
He only lived to 39, I think.
Yeah,
didn't even make 40. Brutal death.
Did they recreate that in virtual realities? Did you
I hope not.
You get the death
If they
scenes?
did, maybe I fucking passed out, because I have no pleasure in watching someone try and shoot their heart and miss, and shoot their abdomen and die 2 days later. That is rough.
Well, how do we transition away from that?
Oh, I got one. Let's go with marriage. Speaking of heart, we've now every week now we discuss a new type of marriage proposal we're seeing, which is now definitely popping up on our Instagrams. And I sent you this one, I think the other day, of a football supporter who ran out onto the field, and then when he was getting approached by the security, fell down and faked like a horrific knee injury, only to give him some space, and then for them to somehow call his wife down, or I guess his girlfriend at the time, down to like help him because he was in such pain. And then he popped out a ring and proposed to her on the field. I got to give that one an A for effort. It's definitely above and beyond the within stadium at your seat proposal.
Yeah, no, it's an improvement, but it's still stupid. I mean, like, if one of my friends did that, I would still think it was kind of idiotic, even if, yes, that's more creative than just having it appear on a big screen or just doing it in the stands. Like, I still think you could have done something a bit classier. Like, it's just hard for me to believe that means so much to her that's the perfect place to do it.
Oh, because women can't like sports, Eddie?
They can do, but it is probably less likely that they have such a strong emotional attachment to a football team, like statistically speaking, but I just think there are not many people in the world who have such an emotional attachment to their sort of favorite sports team that would become the sort of appropriate place to get engaged. I mean, I say this as a huge sports fan. I would never want someone to propose to me at a sporting event.
What about having the marriage at the sporting event? You rent it at like an empty day
at the venue,
like on the pitch.
not at the sport. That would be, depending on the venue, the type of venue, that could be okay. I mean, if they have obviously all of the facilities, so that bit doesn't. I wouldn't want to do that if I were like a big fan. So if I lived in Barcelona and it turned out that doing it at the Camp Nou, you could have a really cool wedding, that to me is interesting. But if you then threw into the mix that I was a diehard Barcelona supporter, then that seems kind of pathetic. As weird as that sounds, like, and that to me would be the issue. So I would happily have it at a sporting event where I didn't really have a sort of strong association with.
So not Ewood.
No, 0% chance that Ewood Clark will be the site of the location for my wedding.
What about at a race course? Would you ever have a wedding at a race course?
I actually would. Yeah, that doesn't. Again, it's because the benefit of a race course, right, is they're sort of designed to be a bit classier too. Like that's the venue.
Well, certain race courses,
but they're kind of, it's fitting for that kind of event versus most venues for professional sports are not exactly associated with class. So they don't seem very wedding like. So yeah, race course would be okay.
I mean, keep in mind, Royal Ascot, I think, still has a trough in the men's bathroom. So I don't know how much class you put to that.
That's just UK style. You're going to get troughs in lots of places. I'm attending a wedding this weekend, though, in London. So,
will there be a trough in the bathroom?
Quite possibly, yeah.
What is? Can you tell us what type of venue it'll be at?
It's just going to be at a town hall. So it is
beautiful.
It probably will be. It's in Chelsea, so I'm
Yeah.
sure the Chelsea
Oh,
Town Hall
okay.
is nice. So I'm sure actually it will probably be really nice. But yeah, it's just the like civil ceremony and then a lunch and a trip to the pub afterwards. So I'm actually, to me, that sounds like the a kind of perfect as
When
a
you say
guest.
lunch, does it mean like as you leave
No,
the
like
marriage ceremony, they hand you like a bag, like a brown paper bag?
just
Oh, excuse
McDonald's.
me, I said no mayo on my turkey sandwich.
Now they're going. So there's the people attending the civil ceremony are then invited to a lunch somewhere, and then post lunch, everyone's heading to the pub, and more people are invited to the pub. So it kind of goes from like 30 people to sort of 70 or 80 people at the pub. So
Now, will this be like a private event at the pub? Is it like have they reserved the entire pub? Is it
I don't think they
closed to
have
the
the
public?
entire pub, from what I understand, but they have a section of the pub, maybe a room within the pub, and it is open bar. So it checks a lot of boxes for me.
Nice.
They're going to regret inviting me.
You will definitely make back whatever money you give them for the wedding.
Oh, yeah. I write that check afterwards. I calculate just how many drinks I had. Okay, £6 a pint. But yeah, so which sporting event from the weekend should we start with? We've got your ability to somehow gloat over Victor Hovland's success in the Tour Championship, which will
Smoked it. Just
baffle
smoked it.
baffle and annoy me. Or we could have a catch up on the Premier League. Which would you rather start with?
Let's start with all victory smiles.
Did you see what Victor Hovland's meal was post the championship win?
No, I did not.
He had Chipotle.
Oh God!
And was
If he
specifically
likes Mexican food, then he should come to Tucson and hang out.
and he was specifically asked if the guac tastes better after a win, and he said, definitely.
I also saw they asked him. I don't know if this was actually before or after he won. Has he decided what he has like a big thing he wants to spend on now that he has the winnings? Like, is there like a item he wants to splurge on now that he just won an enormous amount? And he said no. He just wants to go home to Norway and hang out and relax with his friends.
But this is also the thing. I get it. He won $18 million in, 4 days work, or let's call it a week with the practice rounds. And that's very cool. But he'd already won $14 million this season, plus his sponsorship deal. So let's conservatively say his income this year is already $20 million. So I get it that near on doubling that in a week has to feel amazing. And that's not, he doesn't have so much money that he wouldn't notice the additional $18 million. But at the same time, he wasn't waiting on this payday to come in so he could finally buy that thing on his, the list of items he wanted. Like everything he wants in his life, he can already buy. Like this is the thing. We have to pretend in that moment that, what a life-changing weekend this has been for you, Victor Hovland.
But Eddie, he doesn't even own a car. He still does bikes every day.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, I mean, probably not true. But even if it is, that doesn't mean anything to me. But
he doesn't own a car. He has a private driver that owns his own car.
Yeah. But there's nothing. I'm sure he will, as would anyone, if you get a check that big, you probably do go and buy something that you can then remember, like, oh, this
then there you go. That would have been the answer then.
No, but I doubt it's so significant. I doubt it's that answer. That question implies, like, now that this huge thing has happened in your life, like, what's that thing you've been waiting to get? As if he's going to turn around and say, I'm going to buy my parents a house. I'm going to pay off their mortgage. I'm going to buy my first house. And the answer for that would have been 5 years ago for him. And then this might just be, oh, I got $18 million. And I'd say maybe he'd buy himself a nice watch or something. But I mean, he's got a watch sponsorship deal, so I don't think he even needs to do that. But something, maybe a car, but it's not like it's not sort of, I feel more complete thanks to this FedEx Tour win.
But a nice win indeed.
Yeah, although, I mean, again, kind of anticlimactic, right? He was so far ahead going into the final round that it was going to take something spectacular, either from someone in the chasing pack or from him failing for it to become a real contest. And in a golf tournament, that's always sort of disappointing. Like, as impressive as it was for him to pull that far away on the opening 3 days, it still then ended up feeling like, okay, this is the end of the season and it's over Saturday night, basically. Like,
Yeah.
that's. And
Would he still have? I didn't see this. Would he still have won if they adjusted it to not get the
the handicap that he
whatever
started with.
staggered handicap starts that they got?
Uh, I I have to admit that I didn't work that out. I would assume so because I mean he finished 5 shots clear of Chauffelet, so probably, and then I mean he finished 11 shots clear of third place. So you you'd have to think that yes he
And real
wouldn't.
quick, Eddie, who snuck into a top 5 finish again?
Rory McIlroy in fourth, only 13 shots behind the winner, but still nice little payday for him. How come no one asks Rory at the end of every tournament, hey, Rory, what are you going to buy with this check? But yeah, I imagine he would have won regardless. And there's been a lot of discussion both during the tournament itself and post tournament about how they should try and restructure the tournament, that people don't like this kind of staggered starting score. A lot of people, especially live golf fans, they all want them to switch to a match play format. But I mean, you just can't do a match play format with 30 players in 4 days. Like, that's not possible. And this, to me, whilst it's not perfect, it's at least understandable. Like, when the tournament starts, you don't have some. It's not like you're needing to recalculate the score in real time or something. And you know, I, I can't think of a better solution to how you sort of have this tournament that is somehow represents the achievements players have had over the course of the FedEx Cup events previously. I think it does as good of a job as it's going to do.
Yeah, I think it's fine. And just, nothing like live podcasting. Victor Hovland would have tied with Xander Schauffele at 19 under had they not gotten the starting strokes. So there you go, Eddie. It would have made for a nice final finish.
Yeah. If he was that nice of a guy, he would have said to Xander, let's play a playoff hole. That goes back to our discussion previous episode.
You know what?
Split the goal.
I don't got anything I want to splurge money on, so let's just play a playoff anyway.
10 million sounds just as good as 18 million to my bank account.
Quick note, Eddie, speaking of what we talked about last week with the splitting of the gold medal, apparently the American pole vaulter has gotten a lot of criticism for wanting to split the gold medal. She's gotten a lot of negative commentary on Instagram and other social media accounts. And she had to come out and give like a full page kind of rebuttal to everyone and kind of say, like, shut up in a very more eloquent way.
Yeah, and I can look, some of the criticism I can get, because I do understand the fact that, it does seem you're trying to determine the world champion. You're trying to see when, a competition between elite athletes who can come out on top. And I mean, like, for example, theoretically, like if we really wanted to take this far, are you only limited to split the gold medal between two, for example? Could you get to a stage where 6 of you are equal and you decide, hey guys, should we just all call this quits and just all walk home with gold? Like, at what point would, as a spectator, I think we both agreed we'd probably do it and that we don't have any issues with an athlete doing it. But there is a stage at which it would become somewhat farcical, right? Like, if all of the I don't know how many people are in the final of the pole vote, say 12, if they just all decided let's all jump over the minimum height and then call it quits and just we all walk home with gold, is that okay? So I do get some of the criticism, but at the same time there's been an overreaction.
So, and she actually cited something that we really didn't discuss, and that was the fatigue and injury level.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
And I know you're not going to like it,
No.
which is why I'm bringing it up, because I want potentially to hear you rant. But she said that pole vault is not an endurance event, and once the fatigue sets in, it not only becomes more difficult, it becomes extremely dangerous. The sport has seen everything from athletes just landing funny with minor tweaks to horrific incidents. We had jumped an entire competition, vaulting for almost 4 hours in 85-degree heat. The competition ended, and we were exhausted. To walk away with health and with a gold medal while celebrating with my friend that had jumped just as well was a no-brainer. We were pushing each other to the absolute limit.
Okay. I mean, although no, technically you weren't, because you decided to stop at a certain point, so not quite to the absolute limit. I do understand that pole vault is more dangerous than a lot of sports, so the risk is obviously higher. That being said, I don't remember the last time I heard about a pole vaulter dying at the World Championships. So the danger factor should not be overstated. And of course, they'll be happy to not get injured, but then there's also that part of me that says, if you feel like you're getting close to being injured, or you feel like you are at risk of you're pushing yourself to the limits, then let the other person win the gold. Like, that's your decision to make as an individual, not to hope that the other person, kind of gives in as well. So, as I said, I have no issue with them doing it. I don't like playing the danger card. Like, just say honestly, this is a great contest between two world-class athletes. We were inseparable, and splitting the gold medal seemed like a fitting conclusion to a wonderful event. That should be your statement. But to say you all don't understand, like, I was about to impale myself on the pole, and her spine was about to snap in half if she attempted, to bend that much one more time. Like, it's just silly. Just own it. In that statement too, she also cited the temperature, which, whilst it was warm, wasn't exactly searing heat. Like, I don't think, oh my, 30 degrees Celsius. Whoa, how on earth can you expect athletes to compete in what most would describe as ideal conditions? It's that.
Man, what an armchair QB we got going here.
No, but again, I'm entirely happy with it. It's just, let's not make it out you just, escaped a war zone and were lucky to get away with your gold medal. Speaking of controversies that we discussed in the previous episode, obviously things have continued the criticisms have continued when it comes to Luis Rubiales, or however his name is supposed to be correctly pronounced in Spanish, with now there's a possibility that he will, the Spanish prosecutors has opened a preliminary investigation into whether or not the incident amounts to to sexual assault. So there is a possibility that he will face criminal charges as a result of what he did post Women's World Cup final. And there's increasing calls for him to resign or be fired, but seemingly I say you have to admire, but someone in the spotlight that much and facing that level of criticism, I don't know why you would, as we mentioned last episode, I don't really know what you're hoping to gain from sticking it out. You think you'd just fall on your sword, and because surely he's being hounded by paparazzi and followed by journalists and things. You'd think you just want to move on with your life almost.
Yeah, I don't know. There's certain people that's how they react to situations. They become more vocal, and I'm of the person where if I were in that situation, I would just shut up and sit there and try and disappear as much as possible.
Because his mother today locked herself in a church and has gone on a hunger strike in protest to how he is being treated. So you would see very real evidence.
It seems very selfish that she locked herself in a church that no one can get into now. What if someone else has a real issue they want to pray for?
But it means if you were him, you'd see very real evidence of how this was impacting your family, which again would be the thing where you'd say, you know what, let's work out whatever my severance package has to be as quickly as
and
possible, and I'll go.
and also like you're the president of a sports of a national sports organization. You're not like let's not pretend this is some really really important job that is affecting like life or like the planet. Like you are you are a glorified like sports general manager for a country. Let's relax a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you'd say, right? It's this national sport of the country, millions of people playing it. So, they're obviously what the Football Association does stretches all right throughout grassroots stuff, right? So
Okay, maybe,
it's kind of
but
important.
enough to have hunger strikes dedicated to it now.
It's his mother. I mean, it's no one else. It's just his mother.
For now.
I know. I think we can limit that one to just his mother. But let's see how long she goes for. Because when you say hunger strike, in my mind, you are committing to at least 3 days of no eating.
Like 3 weeks.
Well, no, but until I would legitimately say you can.
So here's a question. Are you allowed to eat anything during a hunger strike?
I mean, I think officially, no. I think you drink water maybe, and maybe get some water that has, some nutrients.
Oh, so now she's just drinking Gatorade. So she's just gone to a liquid diet. She's on a liquid diet protest.
Maybe just water, because that gives you, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a pretty
But is there a point where it's acceptable during a hunger strike to have a slight meal to sustain yourself? I would love to see the arguments against this. Being like, I am on a hunger strike, but I just had 3 saltine crackers just to get the nutrients to survive.
I was hungry.
Isn't that the point of a hunger strike?
I was angry. I just needed to be able to get through the day. Come on, guys. But I mean, yeah, and obviously I normally associate hunger strikes with prisoners and, people who are in real positions of peril. And so then it usually results in you being force fed and stuff at a certain moment in time. So I doubt someone's going to storm into the church and force feed his mother, but you never know. But yeah, I think I think saying you're going on a hunger strike, I'd almost say I've been on declaring you're starting the hunger strike in her situation. It's a strong move because, as I said, if you give up anywhere within the first 3 days, that's just like an extended fast. Like that doesn't impress me too much.
She's just going on an intermittent fasting protocol at that point.
I mean, day one, depending on what time of day you start, it's like, well, I started my fast at 5 p.m, having I just ate a gigantic meal. So it's like, well, look, my fast has gone for 24 hours now, my hunger strike. It's like, well, that's not particularly impressive.
Just have a huge early dinner, and that could last you at least till the next lunch.
Yeah. And then if you're willing to, especially if you are drinking water, if you're then drinking a lot of water, making yourself kind of feel full with all the water you're taking in, I mean, until
what about like coffee? Is she allowed coffee?
No.
But she just loves to have a morning coffee, Eddie. Just let her have the morning coffee. Just 4 scoops of sugar and a half a cup of milk in it. That's it. Nothing else. Okay?
All right. Well, we'll see we'll see how long she lasts. I mean, this is the...
Do you have eyes on this? I don't trust it unless we've got full eyes on it.
There's media gathered at the church, so I'm sure someone is tracking whether or not.
Yeah, but there's like those communion things at the church. There's wine at the church. She could sustain for months in there without anyone knowing. She's locked herself in.
Or like the David Blaine thing when he like put himself in that glass box, and then people thought he had nutrients on the inside of the glass that he was licking off of the glass, and all the theories about how he managed to do it. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how long I mean, the ultimate thing is he's probably, because he's definitely going to be fired and or resign, right? So is she going to keep this going until he's reinstated or until his job is safe? Or is this tomorrow he's fired and she calls off the hunger strike? Like, what's the commitment here?
I know we've talked about this before, but I forget, what's your take again on when David Blaine does like the magic to celebrities and they freak out? Do you enjoy that or not enjoy that?
I love magic. I don't particularly love that because I don't like I don't like throwing celebrities into the mix as somehow making the magic more impressive. Like he didn't just fool anybody. He fooled Will Smith, as if that's like makes the trick better. And it also doesn't make me more convinced that they're not in on it. Because I also think if you are a celebrity who agrees to have David Blaine come to your house to film a special, you are going to be worked up to really sell the fact that you were blown away. Like, I actually think like his
you like the street magic.
Street magic was way
random people.
That was way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was better. Although, but you do get some good ones with the celebrities. Like the iconic Harrison Ford one where he tells me to get the fuck out.
And he also kind of didn't give a shit for several of them too. So that doesn't bother me. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for David Blaine because he's just like extremely memeable. I mean, that's just his whole act is, it's hard not to kind of laugh at it now. It's become kind of a joke what his persona is. But no, I don't.
I do prefer, like, I could watch that. You could YouTube rabbit hole me for that, Eddie. I could watch just magic tricks done to random people for a very long amount of time. I also like some of the intricate ones where there's like multiple people involved, and then like where it's like 4 or 5 people are involved, but then it's in a public setting. So then there's also like 15 to 20 people that aren't involved, and they're all just like blown away at the same time. Like some of the bigger scale ones, I think those are fun too.
Well, that's a rabbit hole that you can easily go down all on your own. I don't think you need my help.
I don't. I prefer it.
So, Premier League. I guess we obviously already discussed the Chelsea match from Friday evening on the last episode. So then the big talking points, you had Liverpool coming back from a goal down against Newcastle with 10 men.
Very disappointing for me as a newly crowned Newcastle supporter.
The instant
I think I'm turning this.
They haven't won since you started praising how exciting their football is.
They really haven't.
No, I mean, they haven't.
I know. They haven't. I know.
So yeah, coming back and maybe a sort of career-changing moment almost for Darwin Núñez coming off the bench, scoring 2 goals after such a slow start to his Liverpool career. Be interesting to see if he now gets a place in the starting lineup. There was that. There was Manchester United coming back from 2 goals down to beat Nottingham Forest, a result you would have expected, but maybe not in the manner in which they achieved it. City also winning against Sheffield United. Again, a result that you expected, but it required a late goal.
Closer than you expected.
Yeah, a Haaland penalty miss and a late goal from Rodri to rescue the 3 points. And then I guess the most surprising result of the weekend. I mean, there's 2 maybe really surprising ones. West Ham beating Brighton in the manner in which they did, with almost no possession, but managing to score 3 goals. But the real big talking point was Arsenal drawing 2-2 with Fulham, coming back from a goal down to go 2-1 up. Fulham then going down to 10 men and then equalizing late on in the match, and actually even had a pretty good chance to win it right at the death. So Arsenal can almost feel lucky to have escaped with a single point, but there are warning signs there for Arsenal so far this season.
Yeah, and we go back to last year, and we talked so many times that Arsenal were able to get 3 points out of a match that they probably should not have gotten, and this is the Bill Barnwell philosophy. When he always goes that when teams have great years, and then you look back on it, it was just that they were over the average in expected wins based off of the statistics. And, maybe we're, like we said, and kind of we both almost predicted, maybe they're coming back down to the average now. And in a match last year that they probably win this match, they now are on the other side of it where they're actually getting the unlucky draw and getting a draw and 1 point instead of the 3. And I mean, because you look at the XG and they they did dominate in the XG, but not everything's going their way this year. Maybe this is one of those signs that they're coming back to the norm a little.
Although I will always say, for the XG watchers out there, we're obviously a podcast that is a fan of expected goals, but always have to do that when a team gets a penalty, which gives them an automatic XG of 0.75.
Yeah.
You do have to kind of go a little bit deeper, because you'll see one team like, oh, they had 2.75 XG and they scored 2 goals, and the other team had 1.8 and scored 2 goals. Wow, that feels like the other team was really quite lucky. And yes, technically, but the penalty is such a sort of golden opportunity from an expected goal standpoint that it really skews the XG results when you have relatively lower numbers.
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, in addition to, you're right, I think last season they would have won that match. Either Fulham would not have scored the equalizer, or even in the then ensuing sort of 10 minutes, Arsenal would have found a way to win the match. But in addition to that, it's just they don't look good. And that's what concerns me, or doesn't, based on the fact that I have to live with my prediction that I, don't think that they'll finish in the top 4. Anything else from the Premier League weekend that you want to touch on?
I mean, for me, I think it's still very early, but I might have to step back on my assessment of West Ham, who right now, I mean, did beat a talented Brighton squad, and I did not think that they would have won that match, and I did not think they were a top 10 team. And I mean, right now they're slotted in second, but it's only 3 matches in. But that might be one I might have to start backtracking. And I think the question I had for you is how much more success do Spurs need to have before you think that they might still be a legitimate, let's say, top 3 to 4 without Harry Kane?
You mean until they convince me that they could be one? Because I don't think...
Because obviously you said when we did our preview, without Harry Kane, you don't put them in that upper echelon.
No, I don't give them a realistic chance of finishing in the top 4. It would have to be like January, February, and then I would start to take them seriously. But I'm not going to get, them beating Bournemouth. Yeah, nice result, but everyone else competing for the top 4 is also going to beat Bournemouth. So,
but do have a quality win, you could say, against United the week before.
Yeah, no, and they're more entertaining to watch. There's no doubt about that fact. And but they've not been, the United one I kind of throw out because it just felt like United were so bad that I don't think you could give Spurs all of that much credit. So then, realistically, you're just thinking, when will they really be tested? I mean, there's the North London derby on the 24th of September. Then they play Liverpool the following week. So you'd say end of September. I guess if end of September, they've still got, their next 2 Premier League matches are Burnley and Sheffield United. So there's every chance they win both of those. And then, yeah, if end of September, if they are, let's say they've won 3 of their next 4 league matches, then I'd feel like that was a real statement, particularly if that win is the North London derby away at the Emirates. Then you'd have to kind of take them a little bit more seriously. But as we said in the season preview, and like you just can't overreact to, there's so much temptation having not had football for a couple of months to then start to see teams and go like, they're really good and they're really bad. And the reality is 2 months from now, everything could have started to look like we expected it to. The only conclusions I jump to this far, 3 matches into the season, is that City are going to be really, really good. And that Kevin De Bruyne being injured isn't going to derail their season. That Everton are really bad. And if they somehow, and Luton are really bad. But, I think Everton to, have started this season the way they finished the last one, to have yet to have even scored a goal in 3 matches, you start to to really worry for them. And then, I mean, they've got Sheffield United next. If they don't get a point at least from that match against Sheffield United, I'd almost say they're down. As stupid as that is to say after 4 matches, but I can't see how they radically improve. So if they're not at least drawing with one of their relegation rivals, then it's difficult to see, because then the following week they have Arsenal. I think we can expect them to lose that one. So if you've lost this one against Sheffield United, you're going to lose the opening 5 matches of the season, and that starts to become difficult to recover from. So there's my non-overreaction overreaction. Now, the NFL, only, 10 days away basically at this point from getting underway. Yeah. Our next episode, we will do our full NFL preview. We'll go into our predictions for each division, for each conference, for each team, and try and see how accurately we can predict the outcome for the 2023-24 season, which usually we do fairly well with. Now, before we get to that, so I guess this is always the good time to plug, if you want to make sure you don't miss that content, follow the Big Chill Podcast on X or on Instagram. But this is a moment for maybe you to celebrate your Trey Lance take, which obviously the trade went through. Before we do that, maybe I can humble you slightly. So you like to usually quiz me, but I have a little NFL quiz to get you in the mood for the upcoming season. Are you ready? It is... it's quite a few questions, but I won't give them all to you. I'll pick out the ones that I think are most likely to interest you. And as usual, I guess we'll leave a little break for the listeners so they can play along at home. So in 2019, Lamar Jackson became the second player in history to be named as the unanimous MVP of the regular season. But who was the first?
Oof. Is it Peyton Manning?
It is not. It was Tom Brady in 2010.
I was going to go for one of them. I knew it would be one of them.
And then we go. Jamarcus Russell went first overall in the 2007 draft. But who was selected with the second pick?
2007.
Yeah.
I know this actually because I remember always talking about this.
So one of the biggest busts in NFL draft history was followed by a, guaranteed Hall of Famer.
I cannot think of it. Wait, hold on. Give me the position.
As a clue, I'll say, when I say guaranteed Hall of Famer, he is already in the Hall of Fame. So if that helps you, drafted in 2007, already in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, career was not super long, but was incredibly impressive.
What position?
Wide receiver. I feel like if you can't get it now.
Calvin Johnson.
Correct. I knew the position was going to be... the Houston Texans will be one of the teams that we include in our season preview. But in which year did they join the National Football League?
Ooh. Oh, boy. Yikes. 2000. And...
I like this technique.
6.
2002. Close.
Oh, is that long?
Yeah, it's been a while. 21 years. They did not make the playoffs in their first year. They went 4-12.
I remember I had a Houston Texans hat because I loved Arian Foster. And then he told me the NFL was scripted.
Do you believe him? All right. Which quarterback holds the record for the most career interceptions thrown?
Career,
yeah.
Brett Favre.
Correct, with 336. The next closest is George Blanda with 277. So he's
gunslinger, man.
He's way out in front.
He's a gunslinger.
Who finished their career with more interceptions, Deion Sanders or Ed Reed?
I'll go Ed Reed.
Correct. Deion Sanders finished with 53. Ed Reed finished with 64.
Yeah, I feel like as a safety, you got a better chance because I'm sure people just ignored Deion Sanders like they did. Like it's like, kind of like when Darrelle Revis was on Revis Island, just no one would throw to him. So he'd only get like 2 interceptions a year sometimes.
Yeah, always one of those things to consider if you do have individual defensive players in your fantasy football league. Is like most of the time, a lot of the superstars are not the bbest in the corner position, are not actually the best ones to have because they do see less action.
Like a really good second corner.
Yeah, no one. You don't get fantasy points for just being a complete lockdown corner who no one throws the ball in the direction of. Like 0 targets. Okay, we give you some points. Tennessee Titans, another team that we will obviously spend some time speaking about. Probably a little bit more time on the Titans than on the Texans. They pulled off the Music City Miracle in 2000. But who are they playing against?
Oh, shit. I remember it, too. I'm trying to think if I can, remember what the jerseys were.
I'll give you a slight clue. A team maybe associated with having bad luck, especially in playoff games.
AFC team. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking that. Bills?
Correct, the Buffalo Bills.
2000. Who's our Bills quarterback in 2000?
Well, that's a good question. That one I cannot tell you without Googling. And let's finish off with
Doug
which
Flutie.
team? Okay, Doug Flutie. Which team did Jerry Rice play his last career game for?
Is that a trick question?
Maybe. I wouldn't tell you, would I?
Oh, no. He did go somewhere. Oh, fuck. Where did he go? Seahawks?
He played his last game with the Seattle Seahawks in 2004. He did sign with the Denver Broncos in 2005, but never played a game for them. So, final career game, Seattle Seahawks.
I remember that because he looked so gross in a Seahawks jersey. Just did not fit him.
And which player was selected earlier in the 2013 draft? Zach Ertz or Travis Kelce?
I'm going to just go with your asking this because it's not what you expect. But then I'm thinking maybe you did that last time, so I'm going to say Kelce.
Zach Ertz,
who
was selected 35th overall by the Eagles. Travis Kelce was selected 63rd overall by the Kansas City Chiefs. And then final question.
Both good.
What year did the first Madden game come out? It was called John Madden Football for the first iteration.
'96.
Oh, way off. 1988.
Really?
Yeah. Only available on MS-DOS.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know my John Madden football video game history.
There's going to be a lot of our listeners who are far too young to have even ever encountered MS-DOS. That's even at our age, it's a term that's...
John Madden was a floppy disk.
Yeah. So, Trey Lance, you go and have your fun then. You made fun of me for talking about how good he looked in training camp a year ago. Here's your chance to rip into me.
You know what? I don't want to do it yet because who knows? Maybe Prescott goes down. Trey Lance comes in, steps in nicely for the Cowboys. They got a pretty good team, so that's for him. I think that's a good potential spot. I mean, Dak does get hurt a decent amount. I I always thought it was a lot to give up for someone who had such little experience in college. And yeah, it blows my mind that they move on this quick. I just think obviously there must be other things going on, because I just think I don't know why Shanahan would move on from someone that they so highly coveted with a quarterback that, yes, had a great, half a year when he was in there being Brock Purdy, but is coming off a major injury. And you never know. Like, okay, preseason, whatever, training camp looks great, but you don't know. He takes one bad hit again and he could be done again. And to have a guy who you really thought was the next great quarterback and just ship him out that quickly, there must be a lot must have happened in these past 2 years.
Well, for starters, I think they do really like Sam Darnold. So I think...
Don't even start.
No, I do think... I mean, Shanahan came out and said, and I'm not making this quote up, and I don't know if you saw it, that Sam Darnold is probably the most talented thrower of a football to have ever played for the San Francisco 49ers.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard.
He said, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say he's the best quarterback, but in terms of the physical ability...
Steve Young could throw a ball like 80 yards.
Sam Darnold, 81.
Yeah, okay.
But look, I mean, obviously he's in a better position to judge than us. I mean, although I don't know how he judges necessarily the historical arm talent of, Steve Young, but I think they're happy with having Sam Darnold as a backup. I think they think that Sam Darnold could start for them and they still can win a Super Bowl. Like, I think they've made that assessment. Yeah, I'm sure probably they feel as if Trey Lance maybe isn't as good of a player as they hoped that he would be, clearly, because I think otherwise you don't give up on him. But also, I think maybe if I was trying to put the most sort of optimistic 49ers hat on, maybe they also just think they almost owe it to a young player that you take with a high draft pick to say, you got really no chance of playing here. And so for your career, you need to go somewhere else. Because you will just be a backup for 2 more years, and then you'll go as a free agent, having played basically, he has 1 year of college football because, he lost the whole year to COVID. So he's got a handful of college football games on his resume. He would have, whatever it was, 5 starts for the Niners before his injury. And then that would be it. And so you're not going to get he's going to be a backup signing as a free agent anyway, if nothing changed between now and then. So maybe you're just thinking to yourself, let's just do this guy kind of a solid. Like, he deserves to go somewhere else and try and be somewhat relevant. And at least playing for even if Dak doesn't go get injured, or even if Dak stays out, he'll still get a little bit more game time, right? Because he'll get a garbage week 18 game that he just wouldn't get right now for the 49ers, because that will go to Sam Darnold.
So do the 49ers send you the Kool-Aid for free, or do you actually have to pay to drink the Kool-Aid? Oh, okay.
But I also want to dispel one thing in the narrative that is about the Trey Lance, the 49ers. Can we stop saying that the 49ers traded 3 first-round draft picks for Trey Lance? Because in exchange, they got 1 first-round draft. So basically they threw in 2 additional first-round draft picks in exchange for the 1 that they got back. Everyone makes it seem as if, when you say it that way, it seems like, oh, they traded up and traded away sort of 3 additional picks, as if they traded away 4 first-round draft picks. It's still a huge haul. It's seemingly backfired massively, because in exchange for it, they've received 1 4th-round pick from the Cowboys, so he's lost a tremendous amount of value in a couple of years. But at the same time, they were such winners out of the Brock Purdy pick that you have to accept that you take a loss on the Trey Lance pick.
Yeah, and then I guess on the other side, obviously I'm sure most people have seen this, but the Dolphins now, they've gotten Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, and Channing Tindall as what they've gotten in exchange.
I think the Niners won that trade. I mean, maybe with my 49ers hat on, but I think they won that trade. Yeah. But, and look, you're right. There's now a lot of pressure. If I were Brock Purdy, I would not have wanted this trade to happen because there's already going to be a ton of doubters. You know, the slightly undersized white quarterback, has not performed particularly well in recent NFL seasons, even when they do get off to hot starts. And so I am still skeptical when it comes to Brock Purdy. And then when you throw in coming back from a serious injury, there's, even more to be slightly worried about. And this, I think, increases the pressure because if they go out and lose one of the early games, not only is the talk going to be, oh, Brock Purdy maybe shouldn't be the starter. This is why he was taken with the last overall pick in the draft. But it's also going to be, don't you think the 49ers would like Trey Lance back right now? So I think if you're Brock Purdy, I would have rather had him still in the building with that added pressure of him fighting for the job. I would have rather had that than knowing there's going to be a lot of criticism for the 49ers and you if things start to go sour. But I mean, I'm fully prepared to watch Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl. See, Frank's trying to say something incredibly clever, but he's so clever he forgot to unmute himself, so none of that was heard.
I'm going to dispel some of this Sam Darnold great arm crap because in 4 years as a starter, I'm going to scratch 2022 because he only played 6 games. In 4 years as a starter, only 1 year has he not averaged an interception a game. And in that, he averaged 0.98 a game. Number 2, he has only once ever gotten over 60% completion, 1 year where he was at 61.9. Stat 3, his best QBR rating ever is 45.9 for a season. You cannot give me these statistics and tell me he's the best throwing quarterback in Niners history. I don't care if his team was made up of middle schoolers. I don't fucking care. You cannot tell me he's got the best arm in 49ers history.
It's okay. I've got all the talking points here, Frank. Oh, God. How many offensive coordinators has he had so far in his career? Who's the best wide receiver he's thrown to?
Steve Smith, Hall of Famer?
At what stage in his career?
I actually don't think he ever threw to Steve Smith.
No, I think Steve Smith retired years before he even got to Carolina. But I mean, who's the best wide receiver he's thrown to? He had his offensive coordinators were changing about every 12 weeks. I don't think he's really played under any, encouraging head coaches. He goes into the Shanahan system. He just needs to be a game manager there. Like that's all he needs to do. Game manager, don't make mistakes, hit the open guy, enjoy yourself. And
enjoy yourself.
I
cannot wait for I actually genuinely like Brock Purdy. I don't wish any ill on Brock Purdy, but I would love to see Sam Darnold get his chance to fucking shit the bed.
I honestly, I got no issues. This is the redemption story that, the 49ers needed. This is, we got one of the bigger draft busts from recent seasons and the guy who was selected last in his draft class. So that seems like the perfect combination of quarterbacks to win the Super Bowl. What more could you ask for?
Sam Darnold had one good game in his career, and that was the Rose Bowl against the Penn State.
All right. Anyway, we'll move on from the Sam Darnold talk. I will say I was watching the Travis Kelce Higher Grounds or the Kelce Brothers podcast. And which I give them credit for, as 2 professional athletes, that is a good quality podcast. I mean, not that they need us praising them, but most of the professional athlete podcasts are kind of painful listens. And they actually do deliver genuinely interesting conversations and are willing to say things that are at times sort of somewhat controversial, which is also unusual for active professional athletes.
Didn't we discuss the T-Swift incident?
Yes, but I know we've mentioned their podcast a few
Yeah.
times over the last year or so, but they were speaking about the gambling suspensions. Travis Kelce said, start of every season, they sit us down and tell us no betting in the team facility, no betting on road trips, no. So he was like, it's abundantly clear to every player the rules you can't break. So
I'm not arguing that part. I'm arguing, like, I don't think it's a smart rule.
well,
Like,
Frank,
I just think the rule itself is kind of dumb.
start your hunger strike. How about that? Go on a hunger strike saying that NFL players should be allowed to bet in their hotel rooms on road trips and see how much support you get.
Do protein shakes count? Am I allowed those in a hunger strike?
No, you're not allowed those. Water only. Just water.
Flavored. Can it be flavored water? What about like seltzer? What's the ruling on seltzer in a hunger strike? Carbonated water. Is that too much?
So I think if you want to drink Perrier, you're okay. You could have some
what
Perrier.
about Diet Coke? Calorie free.
No.
It's no calories. I mean, Coke Zero, that definitely should be allowed in a hunger strike. Zero's in the name.
No, not allowed. But speaking of, I mean, the U.S. Open is underway. No major shocks to speak of so far. But I don't know if you saw Andy Roddick's rant on the Tennis Channel after he was asked about a sort of U.S. Amateur tennis players were polled as to whether or not they thought they could win a game against a top-ranked current player. Did you see any of this rant?
No. Break it down for me again.
So amateur tennis players in the U.S. were asked whether or not they thought they could win a single game, or at least a single game, against.
When you say like amateur, do you mean people who are like competing professionally but are not at a professional level, or you mean like amateurs and like you and I are just playing one day?
I mean, so no, obviously if you're competing at a professional level, you're then.
But you know what I mean? Like you're at amateur status, but you're in.
That doesn't exist. No. This means is in you'd be an officially licensed tennis player, so you are an active tennis player, presumably. Okay. But you're just playing at your local club.
Got it.
It's not. You are a full on. You're just playing twice a week at your local club or whatever.
Got it.
So they were asked whether they could win a single game against a professional player. It wasn't really narrowed down as to how good that pro had to be, which I think is a slight mistake, because obviously people's opinions on like, do they win a game against Novak Djokovic is different from whether or not they win a game against the 85th ranked
Taylor Townsend.
Sure. Now, you know how the confidence I have.
I know. we all know.
The responses from this poll are somewhat shocking.
A lot of Eddies.
More Eddies than Eddie. There are, in the age range of 18 to 24, 82% said that they could win a game against a professional player.
How many games are they given?
What do you mean?
Is it just in a full match?
Best of 3 sets, yeah.
So you have at least 12 games.
Yeah. So you're aiming to win 1 of 12.
1 of 6 that you're serving, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Which, I mean, this is the thing it is a ridiculous statement, but I guess there will be some amateurs out there who just feel very confident in their serve.
There's got to be like a 6'7" dude who just has a monster serve.
Yeah, who has nothing really else but thinks to himself, if I just go first serve every time, and I don't really care of the outcome of the match, I'm probably going to be able to sneak a game. Now, it gets crazier. Of the over 55s that were polled, 47% of them thought that they could win a game. Now, here's where even if you did have a big serve, usually by over 55, that serve's dropped off pretty considerably, and it's hard to imagine. Andy Roddick found this to be laughable to the extreme. He said that he's 40 now, and he couldn't win a game against Novak Djokovic now if they played, and said that he'd actually be pretty pleased winning once he'd won a point. I think he was being a little extreme there,
Yeah.
especially as someone who had a big serve.
It really shows you how poorly he thinks of himself.
He said that if he'd had the confidence of the people that were being polled here, he would have won Wimbledon 17 times. That was
that's pretty good.
That was that bit I did like, but yeah,
I feel like this is all the fault of pickleball. Thanks, pickleball. You've given people so much fucking confidence in tennis.
But yeah, he felt like most would not win a single point. And, that was where the discussion should start. Could you win a point in a set against a professional player? Which, again, I get where he's coming from. I do think you're going to have a lot of people with halfway decent serves who are going to say, like, well, yeah, I'm going to have a couple of good serves over the course of a set. Like, that's even Novak Djokovic, as great of a returner as he is, I'm going to get a point every now and then just from going for it. But yeah, it was a funny. I do encourage people to go and seek it out. We've shared it on Twitter, so it's a good chance to follow us and see the comment. But yeah, it was he was outraged by it. He said it was the dumbest thing they'd ever discussed on television.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Oh man, that's funny.
So, what else do we have?
Not much. I have to say I'm genuinely getting excited for NFL. I did watch a few preseason games, like a quarter here, a quarter there. Just watched some of the college football. I watched my protege, Caleb Williams, have a dominant performance in his opening game for USC.
Okay, protege strong, but okay. I almost as outrageous as thinking you'll win a game against a professional tennis player. But yeah, no, it will be fun to have back. As I said, September is going to be such a prime time for sport. Which I guess we also have to mention Rugby World Cup coming up. England had a rather embarrassing defeat to Fiji at the weekend. Things are not looking good for England heading into the Rugby World Cup. It's hard to be overly optimistic about their chances, but who knows? Maybe things will come right mid-tournament, as they so often do for professional sports teams.
But yeah, pretty quiet. I finished Perry Mason. Good TV show. A little slow. If people don't like to watch, something that's not super fast paced, I don't think Perry Mason's for you. It's set in the 1920s and 30s, and it has the pace of a show in the 1920s and 30s. But it was the second season is so much like higher caliber with like set design and the actors. They definitely invested more money. So season 2 definitely picked up. I watched Ahsoka. The first 2 episodes of Ahsoka, this highly sought after Star Wars show coming off of the animated series Rebels that has all the Star Wars nerds going crazy. It was okay at best. I don't know. I'm not a big Star Wars guy. Actually, I would argue Eddie might be the bigger Star Wars fan than I am.
There's probably a good chance when we were younger that I might have been the bigger Star Wars fan.
For sure was. I mean, I probably never watched the originals. Well, that's false. I did watch the original Star Wars when I was younger because we had them on Laserdisc. But
yeah, it's hard for me to say. Like at the time, I felt like I was a reasonable Star Wars fan. Like I liked the movies. I wasn't rewatching them constantly.
Did you have a fake lightsaber?
No, but I did have like toys. Star Wars toys, like action figures and stuff that I would play with. That my nephew is now in the process of completely destroying, which is always nice. I treated those things like they were precious, and now I get to watch him just smack them against a wall. So that's great.
Were you a big Jar Jar Binks fan?
No, I mean we were kind of too old. Like that was by the time those movies started coming out, I was out of the action figure phase. So, and I didn't enjoy the new trilogy. So that didn't reignite any passion for Star Wars for me. it would have been at the age where I could have maybe recommitted, I suppose. That's sort of what we were like 10, 11, around that age range, 12. But, instead it was when I was firmly out on the Star Wars experience.
Yeah. I want to push you because I guess we're gonna have a while now for season 2 because of all the strikes. But I would enjoy covering Andor season 2. I would like for you to watch Andor season 1. It is not at all a Star Wars show.
I don't care. You're batting like 100 on recommending TV shows that I have to watch for the podcast. I sometimes don't know.
Listen. It's not as if I thought The Mighty Ducks was going to be a good TV show.
I don't know how often you do it almost intentionally, knowing I will hate it, and that I also am committed enough to like keep watching it most of the time. But no, I can't. It's now at least 10 years before I can consume any Star Wars related content, like movies, TV shows. It's got to be a while. It's oversaturated. It's a real shame because there was part of me, that slightly nostalgic feeling when all the Star Wars stuff did start to come back, and at that moment in time, it was so infrequent that it felt like a big deal. Like even if you weren't a Star Wars fan, it felt like you had to go and watch the movies. And then now there's a new Star Wars TV show or movie out every 4 months.
Yeah.
So
for the record, I did not force you to watch Obi-Wan.
No, but still, it's it's not good. I can't do it to myself again. But yeah, I'm fully out on TV shows. It's tough.
Actually, I am too. And now that you mentioned The Americans, and I've just finished Perry Mason, I think I might continue my Matthew Rhys, Matthew Rhys train and hop on The Americans. I've never watched it. I've watched I've never watched it.
Starting from the beginning, it's a good TV show. It's a good solid 6 seasons that will keep you occupied for a while. I'm
almost done with Suits.
Oh, Christ!
I just want to see how they kill off Meghan Markle.
What's the name of the lead actor in Suits?
Gabrielle.
The kind of German, half Spanish or whatever he is. But yeah, that guy. You're looking at me stunned, but yeah, he's not American.
Yeah, I didn't know he was German though.
I think his last name is German, I think.
Gabrielle Macht. I
saw he was invited to like the Oxford Union to speak, which normally is supposed to be this prestigious honor that is bestowed upon people who are able to have an interesting discussion that should inspire future generations of great thinkers. I don't know why the actor that starred in Suits gets thrown into that category. And look, I don't want to single him out. There's a lot of other stupid people who get invited, and I'm not calling him, but you know what I mean? Like people who probably are not deserving of that honor who get invited. Like former athletes and stuff who really have nothing valuable to add. But it did stun me that I saw a video of his where he was, because obviously there's a fair amount of coverage that is being dedicated to Suits because of how popular it's become on Netflix.
Insane.
And at the same time, I'll say this. I think part of it, right? Netflix can kind of skew the system because it can obviously just put Suits on the homepage all the time for everyone. So it does significantly increase the likelihood of you watching it. And also, we are at a down period in TV for almost everyone. And so the temptation to be like, I'll rewatch Suits, or I've never watched Suits. Let me check it out because there's nothing else on. I can see. He said, though, that someone spoke to him and said they had watched Suits in its entirety 17 times.
Wow.
How that person also got into Oxford is mind-blowing.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I mean, there's been several podcasts that have dedicated episodes to this like Suits phenomenon. And the one I think I relate to the most is, for me, it's a TV show that I can put on in the background and be paying attention like 75% and still kind of enjoy it and not have to really worry about it. Like I'll put it on like when like I'm at the gym, like on the elliptical, or like if I'm cooking, I'll put it on the background while I'm cooking, you know, where like you can go through 3 or 4 episodes and nothing's really happened, but a little bit's happened. And then every season it's like the same thing, just happens in a different form.
Oh
Like
yeah, sure.
character X gets mad at character Y because of this, and then
Oh
character
yeah.
Z comes in, and it's like the same thing every season.
Don't worry. I've had my fair share of hate watch Suits YouTube clips. I've done it.
I don't hate watch it. Like
No, I
it's
do
not
though.
terrible.
It's not terrible. The thing that bothers me about it, though, again, it's the whole, I don't know, it's the glorification, like that these Harvard lawyers are all geniuses and these guys just are unbeatable at everything that they do. You know, that bit and making corporate law look like it's an actual fascinating job to have. As someone who briefly was a corporate
Someone
lawyer,
sounds jealous.
I tell you what, it was not Suits. Whatever I got to experience was not Suits. But yeah, no, I do get the idea of the like somewhat brain dead watch. It's what I miss about watching TV.
Like network television.
Yes.
Like
You know,
House and like those
yes.
types of shows.
It's just, to me, the lawyer element is the bit that I find completely unappealing. Whereas, yes, if I was watching House or CSI or The Mentalist, you know me, I loved The Mentalist. Like I would give a lot to be able to bring The Mentalist back onto television, but it's not going to happen.
You too. I don't know. I've never watched one episode of The Mentalist.
Oh, watch The Mentalist.
And if it weren't for you, I wouldn't really think. I'm not sure I would know what The Mentalist even is.
Watch The Mentalist. If what you want is like brain dead background television, The Mentalist will knock it out of the park.
Okay.
Thing is, I can't tell you where you can watch it, but I'm sure it's on some streaming service.
I'm sure it is. All right. Well, with that, I think maybe we call it a day.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later.
See you.